Ramadan is the 9th month in the Islamic Hijr calendar and is the month of fasting, repentance, and good deeds. Now, fasting in Ramadan upholds Sawm, one of the pillars of Islam, which means to fast. Fasting in Ramadan with the correct intention ultimately brings you closer to Allah because you are doing an act of worship for Him, and through your act and struggle, Allah rewards you. One spiritual benefit of fasting during Ramadan is that it increases a person's taqwa. Now, this refers to awareness of Allah, and this is important to ensure one takes care in their endeavors in order to please Allah. To discuss the spiritual significance of Ramadan fast is Imam Fuad Adeyemi, the National Chief Imam Al-Habibiyya Islam Society. Good morning, Imam, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to have you join us. And Ramadan Kareem to you too.
Thank you so much.
It's another season where, incidentally, it is happening at the same time where the Christians are also observing their Lent. What would you describe really as the significance of this spiritual exercise to us as a people?
Well, Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah that we are still alive today. After last year, many things that happened. Some people are no more alive, some they are no more themselves. It's not out of any strength, but out of Allah's mercy, we are here. Well, you have rightly mentioned that the Christians are also fasting now. To us, it's not new. Why I say that is that when Allah is introducing fasting to us in the Quran, Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam kama kutiba alal ladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. That Allah says that He is prescribing fasting for us, as that has been prescribed for those before us, so that we will be conscious of Allah, we will fear Almighty Allah. What does that word mean? Is that all religions of the world, there is no religion in this world that does not have something to do with fasting. Because fasting is one area that all religion is like a meeting point of all religion of the world, where everybody have it. It is only a particular religion that they fast. They say they fast for 60 days in their lifetime, but there is no religion that don't talk about fasting. Now that it comes together, it only reminds us Muslims as the teachings or the direction that God has given to us, that this fasting, the essence of it is for you to get close to me. Then how do you now get close to God? It is believed that whenever anybody is fasting, his soul is clean, his body is clean, his physical system is clean. So it means you get closer to God at that time. So the meaning here is fasting takes you and bring you close to God. And don't forget, fasting is also about relationship. It creates a very good relationship between human being and his creator. It creates a relationship between creatures and other creatures, you and other fellow human beings. It also creates a relationship between you and yourself. That how do you love yourself? How do you not misuse your own self? And it is only fasting that can actually give us this.
Okay, so what about some other benefits, and also especially the significance of the first 10 days of fasting in Ramadan?
Well, it's been a lot of, what do I say, things you can gain by fasting in the month of Ramadan. They said it's been divided into three: the first 10 days, the second 10 days, and the last 10 days. Yeah. But there are some specific things that are required of us. You see, fasting in Islam is not much there. It's not just avoiding eating and drinking and sexual intercourse during the day. It's about your own complete system fasting. And what do I mean by that? The imsak. That is, you stop from doing something. What do you stop from doing? What lesson do you intend to gain in all these 30 days of fasting? Like you rightly mentioned, first and foremost, the spiritual advantage which you have, because naturally it is only fasting that gives you a kind of sense of belonging, sense of a kind of a communionship with your God, no matter religion which you believe. When you are fasting, something tells you you are directly talking in touch with your Creator. It is the time that when you are in your room, you can lock the door and eat and come out and say nothing is happening. But an average person fasting will not do that, especially when you are doing it out of your being conscious of what you are doing, that you are not being forced to do it. So when you do it, it cleans your heart, it cleans your spirit. Because if you notice, everything which we have in this world that you use needs maintenance. No matter how good, how that thing is, it needs maintenance. And let me quickly digress. Why we are having problem with our oil industry, it was lack of maintenance. You know, remember what they call TAM, turnaround maintenance. That is, fasting is the TAM, the turnaround maintenance in everything about our life. It maintains your soul, because fasting is the only thing that can control your heart, your soul. You say, when you say fear Allah, fear God, you are only being theorizing. You actually don't understand when they say fear God. It's a vague something that needs much more experience for you to explain. But the only reason or the only thing that will make you to understand the fear of that God is actually fasting.
Okay. For a Muslim, what would be the right disposition within this period? Because what we are beginning to see largely is people just wait for this cycle to come and they observe it as a religious right, and when the period passes, they go back to living their life. Is that the right disposition? Are you supposed to approach this period with some intentions or habits you are telling yourself, once this is done, God helping me, I am done with that habit?
I'm going to answer you by an ikaya, by an experience in life. During the American Civil War, there was this general that he smokes from one cigarette to another. I don't know how to describe it. It
Chain
means,
smoker.
what is a chain smoker? And when the war was becoming too hot, he couldn't get a place to buy cigarettes. And the cigarette was going until it remained just one stick of cigarettes. He now kept it in his pocket and said, he's going to take this cigarette when the war becomes very hot. Now, he waited. The first day, the war was hot. Second day, it becomes hotter. Until 1 month, it was getting hot and hot. Until about 7 to 8 months. Now, he now decided, about 3 months, rather, sorry. He now brought out the cigarettes that he wanted to light it and smoke. He said, no. If I can hold this cigarette for 3 months, I've been smoking cigarette for the past 30-something years, and I stop this thing within 3 months, and nothing happens to me, then it means I can survive without this cigarette. He threw it away. Now, I don't know whether you understand the point I'm trying to raise there now. That as a Muslim, the essence of Ramadan is to come and train us to become a better person. And it knows during the course of your training, by the time you learn something, when you just graduate, you'll be better for you. By the time you are getting far from what or something, you tend to forget. You need another training, and that's why fasting comes every year. But if after the training, it's like a medical doctor or a lawyer who has just been certified, and the moment you come out, you kept your certificate in your wardrobe, and you are doing some other thing. You are supposed to go to court. You didn't wear your gown. You just went like anybody. By the time you enter, they will send you out to say, no, you are not one of us. So it means the same thing with fasting in Islam. The essence is to change the way you do things, is to make things better. If at the end of Ramadan, you've not been able, nothing is changed in your life, nothing is changed in your system. And that is why when Ramadan wants to start, we always advise, as a Muslim, write your do's and don'ts of your life. That these are the things that I'm doing that is wrong. These are the things that I'm doing that is right. This Ramadan, I want to use this Ramadan to improve on a particular thing. I want to use this Ramadan to remove a particular that is not good. When you have that at the back of your mind, you write it down, it allows you to consciously monitor your progress during the month of Ramadan. For example, there is a link between Ramadan and the Quran. The Muslim should begin to read the Quran more during the month of Ramadan so that it will change your attitude after the month of Ramadan.
Okay, now just before we actually came on, you were telling us about how you had a lot of people come in, more than you bargained for, to break the fast, yesterday on the first day. Now, how important is community in Ramadan?
How important is?
Community.
Community, like I told you, when I was introducing Ramadan, I said it's about relationship. It creates a better relationship. Let me give you an experience I had last year in the mosque. There was a particular man who lives in an estate of like 12, 13 flats inside that property. Each time he wants to get out of the mosque, the security people, because he's a young person, is either they lock the gates because it's in the night, and when he's coming back, he will be knocking, they will not allow. The young man now told me, he said, Imam, I don't want to be coming to mosque again. I said, what is the problem? He said, whenever he's going out or coming in, the security people used to lock the gate. I said, you are the one that caused it. Whenever you are going, when you are going back, go with some plates of food and give to those security people. When he was going that day, he took like 6 plates of plates. As he was entering, he gave to the security people. The following day, by the time he wanted to go out, the doors was open at the right time. The second day he did something. Then about third day he didn't come out on time. They said they came to his door and say, okay, you're not going to the mosque today. So you can see the kind of relationship that it's supposed to build. And you should be conscious of other people. And the essence of fasting is for you to have empathy, to be able to know what other people are passing through and put yourself in that position. And when you are able to do that, nobody will guide you on what to do, because you know what your body system wants by itself. Like I was giving you an example. Yesterday, the iftar, we prepared for like 1,100 plates. And the people that came, there were nothing less than 2,500, 3,000 people. So what we did, almost all of us that we were among the organizer, we deprive ourselves that, because you know what it is, not to have food, to bring us. So we were able to live our own, that all of us should go back and eat in our houses, because had it been we are not fasting with them, our own will have been kept somewhere. That whether you like it or not, if you don't get it, you don't get it. But because you knew what it is, not to have, and that is the lesson of Ramadan. It wants you to create a better relationship with your environment, with the people around you, and with your God.
Okay, just before Mr. Sunday comes in, while we're still talking about, iftar, we've had a lot of people complain about how the economy is actually affecting them, talking about, the cash crunch and everything. In your experience, can you share with us, how you think it's affecting the Muslims this Ramadan?
Not just the Muslims, it's affecting everybody. Like even for you to buy ingredients in the market, they don't take transfer and you need cash. So there is a lot of problem. For example, day before yesterday, when we wanted to start the preparation for this, we wanted to buy firewood. These people said they don't want transfer and we must buy firewood. We don't have cash. They don't take transfer. You can see a challenge. We were moving from one place to another until when we met somebody who has firewood in his house. And it is that one that he now gave us that we started with. So it's affecting everybody in this. I do not know. The government might have a very good intention, but this is not the right time to do it. This is not the best way to do it, and it's not actually yielding. You see, one thing about the poor people that our leaders, I want them to understand. God said that's to the group of people's prayer, that when they ask, there won't be any hindrance between what they say and themselves. A poor person that is cheated and he asks God, and God will listen to that person. We have been to you go to Saudi Arabia, they have changed their money. You see the two together. Not more than 2, 3, 4, 5 years is there. In US, we have seen that the money is changed. You can see it together. you would not even know. In fact, some of the indigenous did not even know the money has been changed. The same thing in UK. You see all these things, but when you now deprive people of what they had or what they worked for, even if they don't talk, their conscience will talk and they will talk to God. That is, our leaders, I think, it's better they understand the dynamics and the volatility of leadership, especially as it involves the poor people. It's extremely dangerous when you allow poor people to curse you, especially when it's sad. You might not know where it's coming from.
Okay. One more question I would like you to speak to, which is slightly away from just focusing on Ramadan. It's about our society. We are just coming out from an election, one that looked like one of the most bitter elections we have had in recent times. I'm not talking about the outcome, the rhetorics that escorted that election, largely because we had candidates from all the ethnic, three major ethnic groups, and it was basically a war from one ethnic group against the other, or one religion against the other, depending on what side of the divide you're studying. And we spoke words that are very difficult to heal. How do we reconcile this seeming religiousness of our people?
Thank you. Yeah.
You know, Christians or Muslims alike, with what is expected, or the empathy you talked about, the communism or the community, fostering the community you talked about. How are we not able to transport these ideals as expressed by the religion we profess into our everyday living?
One, thank you. The last election has exposed a segment of our country. And what is that segment? The religious life of the Nigerian community. It has exposed the insincerity on the path of the religious leaders. It has exposed that the only thing they want, most of the religious leaders, they are not working for God, but they are working for their personal and selfish interest. Incidentally, that is my area. So I can talk authoritatively on this, and this is the work I've been doing for the past 40 years. So I can actually tell you that this has really exposed us, the religious leaders, because we are following our personal whims and caprices. We want our thinking to be the thinking of God without actually considering what is the thinking of God in what we say. We allow our interest to becloud our thinking, to becloud the thinking of Almighty God Himself. So we in most religious houses, we put God somewhere and we took over as we are actually the one. I described our deputy acting assistant God. They feel that they are put God in one cage. It is whatever they want that God must do. God is beyond what you think. It is like that. Not until the religious leader themselves, they able to purge themselves of all these selfish interests and ungodliness in those religious houses. We won't get to anywhere. But also, let's come to this election. You're able to see that most religious leaders, most organizations, their thinking is what is going to be our gain. It's not just about God. It's not just about the nation, but it's about what is going to be our gain. And thank God, it has exposed everybody, the Muslims, the Christians, and all the other people. In fact, I pity the politicians around, because it is even the religious leader now that took over the politics of the politics itself. And that is why God has exposed everybody. So the meaning now is the victor and the
Language.
and the other group, everybody will now need to come together. Let us look at God Himself. What does God want? And before I even get to that, the government should now have put a system in place that will be able to control the excessiveness of this religious.
I was coming to that.
Okay.
We are a free nation, no doubt. Do you think we have arrived at that point where we can no longer allow the pulpit to
let me give you where we need it. The NBA, Nigeria Bar Association.
Yeah.
They are one of the most dynamic professions in this country, in the world. Yes, they control themselves. The Nigeria Medical Association, NMA.
That's right.
You can't just do anything because you are a medical doctor. you can't just do anything without you being controlled. The lawyers, you can't just say anything without NBA sanctioning you. We don't mean the government might not be the one sanctioning. It should be a kind of internal sanctioning by the organization themselves. The government should empower those religious organizations, I mean the umbrella organizations, to be able to sanction themselves. You should be able to write your own rule. When you write your own rule, there should be an instrument that will be able to back your rule when you infringe on the rule that you yourself you have put in place. And before somebody becomes a religious, there must be kind of a qualification. What are the things that make you, because you are just coming from a school, you are a Malam, you believe you can read Arabic, you can speak Arabic, now you are already a Malam, and you can give fatwa, you can begin to say things that pleases you to say in the name of God. Or somebody who just coming from his toilet, he said God has spoken to him, before you know it, he or she began to say something that's it's just sort of selfish something. So if we can't continue like this, it's not going to be possible.
All right, I think would actually give opportunity to the viewers. We'll take 1 or 2 phone calls. If you have a question to ask Imam Fuad Adeyemi, please feel free to call us. The line is actually, the number is displayed on the screen. Just 1 or 2 phone calls. Now, before the calls actually kick in, what is the importance of or the significance of the last, I asked you about the first 10 days, so the last 10 days of Ramadan?
The last 10 days is when the Quran was revealed, and they asked the Prophet that if you do anything that is directly correspond with the time the Quran was revealed, then it's like you have worshipped God for 84 years. So in searching for that, and they asked the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when is that? He said it's the last 10 days. They say, when the last 10 days? He said the last 10 odd days. So for some people, or for Muslims to actually get the exact time that Quran was revealed, the word that it refers to as Laylatul Qadr, that is the night of majesty, most Muslims resort into staying in the mosque in the name of itikaf and begin to do every aspect, every second of their life. They use it in the remembrance of God. They use it in the service of God with the sole intention of meeting the Laylatul Qadr. And that is the essence of that last 10 nights, the 10 days of Ramadan. It gives you what they call salvation, complete when somebody becomes free.
Okay, Imam, we actually have a call from Abdurrahman calling from Bauchi State. Hello, Abdurrahman. Good morning. Yes.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. Fine, thank you. Go ahead with your.
Thank you. I just want to wish you people. You are doing more better for us. We Muslims, we are wishing every Muslim in anywhere. We are wishing any Muslim in Nigeria or the Christians. So let's be living in peace and love each other.
Thank you very much, Abdurrahman from Bauchi.
That was my own opinion. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Rahman is wishing Nigerians peaceful coexistence. I'm sure that is his wish for us, especially at this critical time. We are fast running out of time. I will leave you with 30 seconds to share with us those cardinal things, and maybe in bullet points, that every Muslim is expected to do within this Ramadan to fulfill the purpose of Ramadan.
The Muslims create more time between yourself and the Quran. When you do this, it guides you in so many aspects of your life. It guides you to love God. It guides you how to love other people and to forgive with sincere forgiveness. You might have been bruised, you might have been insulted, you might have been abused, as individually, collectively. When you forgive, then you have victory. I remember before late father died, he said, Fuad, if you want to have victory, you want to win everybody, do not take revenge. And that is the advice I will give to everybody. Do not take revenge.
All right, we'll take one more caller from data and we are done. Good morning. Oh, sorry, I understand that we have lost that call. We have been discussing with Imam Fuad Adeyemi, the National Chief Imam of Al-Hibibiyah Islamic Society, who has been taking us on the significance of fasting and the spiritual relevance of fasting to us as Muslims, to our society, Nigeria, and indeed for the betterment of the world. This is the much that we can bring you at this time. We want to thank you for finding time to be here.
Thank you so much.
We understand that you have been awake since 4 a.m. Doing the Lord's work. We pray that God would reward you abundantly for the efforts that you put into humanity.